Hey everybody, how you doing? It's noon, so you know what that means. It's another great episode of Lunchtime Talk with Steve. Let's go ahead and take a moment to share the link, share it with your friends, your relatives, your favorite group, and then we're gonna come back with Ryen Jackson and we're gonna chat with her and have a great conversation. All right. Go ahead and take this time to share it out. Thanks.
Hey guys, I'm on my way to the office. I can't believe there's so much traffic out there. Just remember, if you get involved in a car accident during this quarantine, give me a call. Our attorneys are going to fight for you. They're going to assess the case, find solutions to your problems. Now you know. Call me. My phone number is right up there or down there. Now you know.
Okay, everybody, here we are. We're back. And today we have a special guest with us. Let's bring in Miss Ryen Jackson. Miss Jackson, that's your nasty, right? I know you heard that before.
It's so funny because I always come back with that with kids, but nowadays they don't know what that means. But yes.
So, introduce yourself to our viewers. Go ahead.
Well, hello everyone. I am Ryen Jackson. I am originally from New York, but I live in Florida now. I do own three companies, two being curriculum development companies that specialize kind of with instructional technologies, and then I own a online tutoring company. And yeah, so I'm a young African American Black woman, just uh, inspired and trying to make it and really make a difference. And education has been a passion of mine since I finished my undergrad. And, that's pretty much it. What you get is what you see.
So, you say you're from New York. What part of New York are you from?
I'm originally from Hempstead. I went to Uniondale schools, so I graduated from Uniondale District.
Hmm.
I did go to LIU, CW Post, which is in Long Island. So I'm a New Yorker. I also got my master's degree from SUNY Albany. So my education has been in the state of New York.
So tell us about some of the curriculums that you've developed and you've worked on, and different teams that you've worked on before. Let some of the things that we might know, you know.
Of course. Well, I started my teaching career in Florida. And
Hmm.
there I was able to experience a classroom of kids with demographics ranging between, Latino to African American. And being in that demographic and teaching those students really got me into hands on learning and really making the math environment collaborative and really getting students involved in the learning. And so as I was teaching, I was working with curriculums like iReady, through Curriculum Associates, Go Math. And those mathematic curriculums really inspired me to take a look at how I was implementing instruction in the classroom. And really, I started to look at how I can really get my students involved. How can I really bring forth cultural relevant tasks? And so I started teaching in stations-based learning, and that was dealing more with Common Core, next generation standards. And really what I do is I go in to math teams and districts, and I do provide professional development around implementation in the classroom. What does it look like for every single learner? How can you ensure that when your learners are walking in, despite their background, how can you ensure that they're going to really get the learning target for today? And so I've worked with a plethora of organizations, grants like Gear Up. I'm a vendor for Gear Up, which is really huge out in New York State, and works with a lot of communities dealing with Title I funding and things like that. I also am a consultant through Nassau County BOCES and Western Suffolk BOCES. And that's an entity that does a lot of training with CTLE credits and provides staff development. And I've recently joined the team of Mid School Math, which is an excellent curriculum development company that is sponsored by Joe Bowler. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but
No.
she is a mathematical pillar. And she's done a
Hmm.
lot of work around visual mathematics and really zoning into the significance and errors. She did a lot of work alongside Carol Dreck.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so I do a bunch of consulting for that, for those type of
That's
companies.
a that's a pretty impressive resume, I'd say. So a lot of your work is in New York then. So tell me how you go about making math fun for these kids, because that's always the challenge that I'm hearing. Are you
Oh,
there?
I'm so sorry,
Oh.
Steve. You cut out for a little bit. Would you mind repeating that?
No, I'm saying, how do you make
Yeah.
math fun for children?
Oh, well, mathematics is like the number one hated subject in school.
Hmm.
And it's really into how kids perceive themselves as
Hmm.
learners. And it's really about not only digging into the academic portion of mathematics, but really bringing to learners' attention who they are and how they learn and motivating them and really integrating social emotional learning within mathematics. So one of the things that I do is first I implement an instructional tool that's very fun through technology, something similar to like a Kahoot or quizzes, getting them involved and engaged, right? And
Hmm.
that's really an assessing for learning tool, something that I can look at the learner, look at data and say, okay, I know what this learner is struggling with. I kind of know what this learner needs. And that diagnosis allows me to provide different activities dealing with the same content, but through different representations. And so creating an atmosphere where a learner can make mistakes, where failure is not a harmful things, where grades do not define you, where there are touching hands on, minds on, and the collaboration is there. That's how I make math fun. And that's how math has been proven to be fun. I didn't come along, with these strategies. I studied them and I believed in them so much. I just created a business that specialized in them.
All right, and you do see a difference when you come in with these with the fun ways of making making children learn. So you do see the numbers go from, like, let's say for example, from a D to B or C, or what kind of improvement do you actually see then, I should ask?
So the improvement that is really guaranteed with the models that my company provide is growth.
Oh, wait. Did you just say the word guaranteed?
I said the word guaranteed.
Oh, okay. I like that
I said the
word.
word guaranteed because you know what? Student growth is something
Hmm.
that's looked at over a long period of time, right?
Hmm.
And student growth looks different dependent on each student. And if you're creating instruction that is keeping the student and the learner in mind, and if you're constantly looking at your lesson plans, restructuring, revising knowledge, carrying that learner along with you, really looking into how this learner could really represent a concept in multiple different ways. How can this be culturally relevant to the learner? If you put all those things in the mix, it's guaranteed student growth. And so with based learning and with differentiation in mind, you are guaranteed to take learners who are multiple grade levels below, and then first understand student growth, because student growth is different from proficiency and
Hmm.
mastery, right? So growth can be a student who is coming in as a sixth grader on a third grade level and moved up to a fourth grade level. Despite them being a sixth grader, they still moved from a third to fourth grade. It's
Right. So
not
they did show some growth.
exactly. It's not proficient and it's not
Hmm.
mastery, but it is growth. And
Right.
so that is something that my company can definitely guarantee. Now, another thing that we can definitely guarantee is a more critical mathematician,
Hmm.
a learner that is an advocate for themselves. And that is so important, especially in terms of communication and just self-image, right? And just how learners perceive themselves.
Hmm.
I've worked at a summer camp in Hempstead School District, right, in New York, which is where I was born, in Hempstead. And in the beginning of this program, these students had little to no faith that they were able to accomplish simple tasks. So even just changing that perspective from the beginning to the end is extremely powerful. So that's another thing that, we can definitely guarantee that your learner will definitely become an advocate and have a more positive self-image.
Now, what about a long-term goal, a long-term strategy? So let's say, for example, you just use the example of the a sixth grader that came in on a third grade level and then moved up to a fourth grade level. How long do you think it would take, or how long on average does it take for that person to catch up? I mean, do they catch up by the eighth grade, or by what grade do they normally catch up to, that the level of math that they should be on?
So I'm going to give you the Ryan answer, and then I'm going to give you the professional answer, right? So the professional answer is that being the fact that every student is different, it is very hard to put a number or put a time frame on when a student will accomplish
Mhm.
a learning goal. We will hope that in the beginning of the year, we would make a goal. On average, it's very hard to catch up multiple years of learning in one school year. But on average, if a student is 2 to 3 grade levels below, it will take them at least 2 to 3 learning years to at least fill in some gaps. But again, that is still, I wouldn't even quote me on that, because you never know. You never know the learner. You never know the circumstance, and it all depends on the environment. It all depends on the implementation. But the Ryan
Mhm.
answer, listen, every learner is capable of anything. Every single learner is capable of anything. Okay. If I have a sixth grade student that's coming into me on a fourth grade level, then yes, I'm going to be providing them intervention and prerequisite skills on fourth, fifth grade levels. However, I will be exposing them to that sixth grade work, and I am confident that they will be able to excel over a period of time. I I feel very strongly that if I'm putting the ball in the learner's court and I'm providing that environment where they can collaborate, where they can grab extra tools, they will learn to make sense of the problem for themselves. And they will learn how to take the knowledge of sixth grade and use their prior knowledge to build on it. So I believe that if a sixth grader student is coming in on fourth grade level in my class, in my learning environment, and with my curriculum, oh yeah, they're going to be able to be approach proficiency in sixth grade, and on some cases be proficient on sixth grade standards.
That's what I'm talking about. Give me just a moment. I got to run a commercial real quick and we'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm on my way to the office. I can't believe there's so much traffic out there. Just remember, if you get involved in a car accident during this quarantine, give me a call. Our attorneys are going to fight for you. They're going to assess the case, find solutions to your problems. Now you know. Call me. My phone number is right up there or down there. Now you know.
All right, and we are back. Okay, there's a comment on here actually from Sharon, and she was saying that parents don't normally recognize how important growth is, and that it all should be celebrated. And that's a good point because, like, let's say for example, using that same student that you got him to go from a third grade to a fourth grade, or even from a third to a fifth grade, but he's still below sixth grade level. How do you get the parent to celebrate that growth, and how do you get the parent to understand the level of growth?
Well, I think that it's the culture in which you set in your classrooms. And as soon as you meet those parents, it's important that everyone knows the saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
And it's important that parents and teachers have a great relationship. It's important that parents are involved and that teachers provide opportunities for parents to be involved, because things like this is important. It's important for data to be spoken about, for you to have those data chats in classrooms. And that's why I said social emotional learning is so important in math and in learning, because a lot of the time students take the data, especially a struggling learner, as something negative. And then it's not celebrated and it's not talked about and it's not brought home. And then when it is spoken about, parents see how upset it is making the students. And then they are, under the misconception that it's something that's hurtful and damaging. So it's important that we put that example and model that in your classrooms. Say, hey, look, guys, grades, they tell you where you are, and they tell you where you need to be, but it's not the above all end all. It does not define you. It is not who you are. Let's understand that if you got a 37 on a test, first of all, let's celebrate the fact that we got that 37%. Okay, because retaining 37% of the content is extremely hard. Okay, but obviously there's an other 63%. Make sure I did the math right for all those who are listening on live. There's an other 63%, that we still have to work on. And you know what? That's okay, because that's learning. That's okay. That's a part of learning. You're not supposed to come into classrooms and already know 100% and send it to classes 100%, then you're not learning. So it's important, like I said, for you to set that culture, set that tone, and let your parents know, hey, look, we're going to be sending home some data, and I want you to understand what this data means. This means that if your child is here, let's work together. What are some things that we can do? Could you play some maybe audiobooks in the car? Would you be able to, do a cooking lesson? Would you be able to maybe play some dominoes and look at some fractions with those dominoes? What can we do together as a team so that we can move your student?
And you know what? You just brought up something I never thought of dominoes as fractions, but really it is.
Yeah.
When you look at a domino and you see the 1 and the 3, that's 1/3. It's like, wow. So You just taught me something new. I feel like I should be paying you for your curriculum now. But what do you think of some of the standardized tests, like the Common Core? You mentioned the Common Core earlier, and other things that they've had in the past, the No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top, all these different things. What do you think of standardized testing?
Ooh, Steve, this is a controversial issue here. So let's here we
It's
go. Here we
very,
go.
it is,
Um,
yeah.
I am privy to not only be in regular ed classes, but to also work alongside teachers of special education, teachers of inclusion classes. And I believe strongly that there should be alternative testing. I believe strongly that there should be testing. I think it should be modified in which it has culturally relevant tasks, and
Hmm.
differentiated a chance, an access point, an entry point for every single learner, and then a different representation of it. Not every learner is going to perform well on a regular multiple choice paper test. Some learners need an oral test. Some learners need a portfolio. So I believe that there should be some measurement, there should be some assessment, but I do believe that the assessments now don't support a lot of culturally relevant tasks. I believe the assessments now don't have an entry point necessarily for every single student. I believe the tests now don't have another alternative way for learners who are in special ed and learners, and they do have, don't get me wrong, there's testing, for students in special ed, there's testing for students in inclusion, absolutely right, but I'm talking about equity, right? And equity is different from equality,
Right.
and so I do believe that there's definitely a lot of work to do. I just was at a conference with mid school math this last March in Atlanta. And one of the great dynamic speakers, Dr. Toya, was speaking about the importance of culturally relevant tasks. And, even something like, for example, as you can see, Steve, I'm an African American woman. I have African American hair. And so I haven't read any mathematical problems dealing with like something like cornrows, which honestly is spatial, which is mathematics, which is angles and lines because you have to do parts. And those hairstylists out there who do cornrows and who rock those hairstyles, that's actually mathematics. And I am 30 years old and I have not yet seen a mathematical problem integrating that type of culture with mathematics, you
So
know?
how would you come up with something like that?
Well, I think it's about providing students with problems in which it's about the real world and problems that will require them to experience real world tasks, the things that they're
Hmm.
living every day. So, for example, my best friend Ebony, who is a nurse, right? When we were growing up, she used to braid my hair all the time. And we will look at different hairstyles in terms of different parts. So imagine, you have two girls in the classroom with hair like mine, and you give them a problem about designing a hairstyle, including cornrows. And you tell them that they have to have a slope of 2/3, and they have to be able to have some type of transversal. I'm just throwing out vocabulary words, but what if you have that as an actual mathematical task in the classroom? You'll be surprised at how many girls would
Would
pop
get
up
that. Yeah.
pop up at the opportunity to braid hair. What? I mean, and then even thinking about something like in terms of males, right? We have our African American males that are into a lot of different things. I mean, I was speaking to one of my students who wants to be a rapper, right?
Hmm.
And I asked him, I said, you have your notebook, because as a rapper, you need your notebook. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, you got to have your notebook. I mean, you got to be writing those raps down. I mean, you got to understand sound. And did you understand sound and beats and hertz and all of that is high higher math, that's algebra 2, that's logs, that's when you're starting to get into beats. Because remember,
Mhm.
if you're going to sell out stages, if you're going to be like Jay-Z, if you're going to be like, all of those great people, you want your sound to be heard far back. You don't want it just the people on the down, and so when you start
Right.
to present math in these ways, what do you mean? And so that's what I mean.
So you make it fun, and then you make it something relevant to them, and then all of a sudden they not only do they catch on to it, but they want to run with it.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So let's say, for example, then, okay, like you said, you're here in Florida, right? You're in Fort Lauderdale? You said
I'm actually in Orlando, in
in
Kissimmee.
Orlando? Okay.
Kissimmee, right?
Yeah, for the people that don't know, that's right near Orlando, or like
Exactly.
southeast of Orlando, I think it is,
Yep.
somewhere around there. Yeah. People that are in New York and different places are like Kissimmee. What? Yeah. But
Right.
huh?
I said just I call it Orlando. Say Orlando.
Yeah. Just like here, we call everything Fort Lauderdale, because no one knows where Lauderhill is, or Lauderdale Lakes, or Pompano, or Deerfield Beach. They don't know those areas.
Yeah.
They just know Fort Lauderdale. But
Yep.
so what else? What else can you? What would you change if, let's say, for example, you were superintendent of the Orange County School District? What would you change? What changes would you bring to
Oof. That's
it? Hey,
um
we don't ask the easy questions on this show, okay?
I think that okay, so in order to manifest change, right? If I was superintendent, in order to manifest change, you have to start at the top, right? And so I look at instruction in three different ways. I look at the instruction from the learner's point of view. I look at instruction as far as what the teacher is doing. And I look at instruction as far as like what's happening with the content itself. And I think that it's important to first train and have that discussion on the upper levels, to look at what we want to value in instruction and what do we really want our instruction to look like? What do we want our classrooms to look like? And then once we start that conversation, because for me, I want my classrooms to be collaborative. I want to hear students talking. I want teachers to be facilitators. I want students to take the knowledge in their own hands. I don't want anything given to them. I want them to work for it. However, I want them to be guided. That's the type of principles that I want in my school district. I want to be able to walk into a classroom, walk up to a group of students, even if they're struggling, and say, what's going on? And that learner says, you know what? I don't understand this question, but I'm trying to watch this tutorial to figure it out. And then he's looking at this example, he's writing down the steps, and then we're going to talk to each other and compare our answers. And then if we don't get it, then we're going to ask a neighbor. And so I want those type of conversations. So I want my principals and my administrators to really support our teachers, support
Mhm.
our teachers, in really helping them to get that environment going. And I only speak because that's only what I can control, right? As a superintendent, I'm only controlling what's going on in the classrooms, right? I can't control what's happening in the home, but I also want to support the home. So not only do we work on what's happening in the dynamic in our classrooms, we support our parents. Are we having enough parent nights? Are we educating our parents on how to help our students? Are we providing our parents who don't have GEDs and our parents who are struggling, who working, nights? Are we providing them with some extra education to supplement them? Are we lifting them up? And so I would want the change to happen, I think, in the top, so that we can support our teachers, so that once
Mhm.
we support our teachers can then support our parents. And then our students will have a learning environment that not only will empower them and where they can speak to it, but will give them a chance to kind of break through all of the issues that they're having as learners. I feel like sometimes we expect them to go in and to just understand everything and to absorb everything and to not take anything into account. And so just giving them that time to truly learn, And so that's the change I would like to see. I would like to see, you know, we look at, especially now with the pandemic and the fact that we have distance learning and the fact that teachers aren't in the classroom, and the fact
Mhm.
that the learning is happening at home and the learning is happening with the learner. It's so important that we train them so that when they go home, they're able to not only take the knowledge in their own hands, understand the process of learning, but parents too have a way to support them.
Now, you just brought up a good point too with the pandemic and the distance learning and things of that sort. We have parents at home that aren't able to help the children out when they have a problem. And then you also mentioned earlier things like GD and things of that sort. How would you make it fun, or how would you encourage adults to go back and get that GED or get whatever, when the adult is telling you, well, I was never a good student, math was never my strong point, I can't pass the math portion. How do you make it fun for adults? How do you get them to want to get back into the classroom?
I think it's first important for adults to understand that if you are surviving every single day, you are doing math. It's important for you to understand that because you have provided what you've provided to your household, because you are as strong as who you are, you are able and capable of doing math. Now, it's important to understand that learning is not supposed to be something that really truly comes instant. And it's okay that if you're looking at learning assignments given by teachers and you don't fully understand them, that's okay. You know why? Because it's important for your child to see how you learn, and it's important for you to see how they learn. And it's important for you guys to learn together. And what do I mean by that? Don't be afraid to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and Google this concept. All right. We're going to go ahead and watch these YouTube videos, and we're going to go ahead and do these examples about 3 or 4 times until we get it. And you know what? If we don't know, we're going to call Uncle Tom. And if we don't know Uncle Tom, we're going to call Uncle Aunt May. If we don't know Uncle Aunt, it's okay to not know what the answer is. It's okay. What needs to happen is, I think the culture needs to really change, and parents need to understand that learning how to learn is what learning is all about. And it's okay that you don't. First of all, there's no such thing as no one is born with everything, and there's no such thing as you can't do it. Everyone is capable of learning. Joe Bola proved that in studies. Every single body is capable of learning. And you know where you learn the most? In mistakes, in errors, in misconceptions. That's where you learn the most. Think about life. Think about those experiences in life where you remember the most, the ones that were the roughest, the toughest, that took you through it. I mean, that's how our brain works. So, to the parents out there who are feeling frustrated, that's okay. Let's teach our children what to do when frustration happens, because we don't need them to shut down, and we don't need you to shut down. We need you as much as you need teachers, and we need your kids to be able to see that learning is a process.
I like that. I like that. Learning is a process. Okay, so how early do you think? Because some people, and we know what happens, they wait until the child goes to kindergarten or first grade or whatever to start teaching that child. What do you think? Where do you think early education starts? At what age?
Well, parents are children's first teacher, so it starts right away. I think that it's important to continue to do the tasks that you do every day and relate them back to learning. For example, what I mean by that is, like, for example,
Oh, you're breaking up.
have your kids estimate when you're putting things in the cart, figure out the change, or
Ryan, I think we lost you there for a second. Hey, Ryan, are you still there?
can you hear me?
You broke up for a minute. You disappeared for a second. Okay, you're back. You're back.
Oh, okay, sorry guys. But I would
I
say
don't know if
to
it's
do
I
what you
don't know
guys
if
are
it's
doing,
you or me
those
because we're
tasks
having
that
bad
you're
weather here too.
yep, we're having bad weather here as well.
But go ahead. You were saying.
No, I was just, telling parents that the tasks that you do every day, like shopping, even when you're driving on the parkway, remembering street signs, even when you are going over ingredients for cooking, all of those things are really, really good to experiment with your child. And I don't just mean for math. There's a lot of things you can do for ELA. You can listen to audiobooks instead of the radio. You guys can play board games. You can have students plan out vacations. But there's a lot of things that you can do. So make your children a part of every single adult task, besides the money, besides the money. Every single adult task, expose them to that. Expose them to writing checks and all those things because they need to understand the real significance of the math.
All right. So, what's next for Ryan Jackson? Where are you going next with the curriculum and with and the different projects?
Well, I'm starting my doctorate this month in e-learning.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I really would like to take my tutoring academy to the next level, and really hopefully be able to get into school districts, especially ones dealing with homeschooling, those students who have the superintendent suspensions and those students who unfortunately have been removed. I want to really zone in on those students. And of course, my academy is available to everybody, but my goals for the next upcoming months is really to strengthen my tutoring academy by really diving into districts and really getting a part of the homeschooling community. In terms of my consulting, I'm excited to have joined Mid School Math, which is a great curriculum company. I'm excited to do future work with them. I'm excited to do future work with their sponsor, Joe Bowler. I'm excited for where that company is going. And I'm excited for the curriculum that they're putting out. I'm also excited to be a part of, again, Gear Up. That is a company that I do a lot of vendor work for. And, that work there is really, really precious to me. And we go in and we provide some programs for them, SAT prep, Algebra 1 prep. But like I said in the beginning, that story with changing the dynamic of students and how they view themselves, being able to go into school districts that, don't see people of color in success every single day. Those That's the work that is truly I'm the most emotional and passionate about right there. But yeah, so just finishing up this doctorate. I'm trying to definitely continue to grow. I appreciate, as I was looking at your intro, I'm looking at all these people that you've met. First of all, Steve, I'm honored to have been invited to talk to you today. It is always a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak about my passion and to introduce myself to the world. Being young African American and a woman can be extremely tough. And so this opportunity I do not take lightly, and I'm extremely humbled.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I was chuckling when you said, "Yeah, I just want to do this doctorate." You make it sound like it's nothing, like like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take care of this doctorate thing," and But definitely, I can see you doing that. You have that passion and you have that drive. I can see you, just accomplishing anything that you put your mind to. But
Thank
there's a
you.
lot that we want to do here in Broward County as well. I sit on a lot of different boards here in Broward County when it comes to education, and we'll talk about that afterwards. because some of the things that you're looking to do with your doctorate, where you were talking about some of the suspensions and kids being removed from schools, whether it's they're being expelled or whatever. I also sit on the board of trustees. I'm the president of the board of trustees for a company called AMI Kids,
Mm.
and I'm the president of the board of trustees for the local branch here in Fort Lauderdale. And basically, what happens is this is a school for when kids come out of juvenile detention center, and we give them the services that they need before they transition back into their regular school. So a lot of these would be
Huh?
the same students that you're talking about, and of course, there's
Yeah.
a lot. I sit on the board for Title One, and I also sit on the Diversity and Equity Committee for the school board. I'm the vice chair. So these are all different things that we can talk about to get you involved with some of the kids that you're looking to get involved with. You know. So
Yeah.
when you're talking about these things, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, we need you in Broward County.
It sounds good. And look at that. It's really amazing, the power of social media, isn't it? Um,
Definitely.
and just, the opportunities that is awarded to you. I feel like education is it's that field that's just so rewarding, and you get to just do things and change the dynamics in ways that you can't. And anytime I'm collaborating with someone, anytime that I'm speaking about it, you know you'll be surprised at just how many doors will open because you're in service of the children, and they're our future.
Hmm.
I say that all the time. They're our greatest investment, and they are our future. And like you said, this to me, I feel like it's not work. I can do this all day. I can talk about this all day. If you tell me, if anyone who knows me, my family, I'm like, send me the problem, take a picture. You need me to call, you need me to do anything, because it's so important. Education is power. And
Definitely.
nowadays, today, today,
We're seeing just how important that is.
we need that power. We need that power.
Hmm.
And it's important that again we empower and enlighten our children. Just because like you said, these times today, it's just a need for it. It's just a need for it.
And the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is, again, like you said, it's an investment. We're investing the time and the energy and everything into these children. Now, the return on that investment is going to manifest itself, 20, 30 years from now, when we have a society that looks like whatever. So the
Yeah.
society we're seeing now, the things we're seeing now, is because that's what we invested in 20, 30 years ago, or our
Yeah.
parents did. So now that starts to make us wonder what was going on then.
Yeah.
What were the issues and what were the problems, and now what we need to do is we need to start looking at those and changing it. Whatever we want to
Yeah.
see, how we want to see our society, we need to start changing that today so that this
Yeah.
generation grows into what we want, and then we'll see a little bit different. So if we want to see that we're more, we have more economic power, we have all these different things. We need to start teaching our children today how to start a business, run a business, like you said, write a
Absolutely.
checkbook, save money. These are things that we need to start doing,
Absolutely.
because if we don't do it, then the next generation is going to come along with the same struggles that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So let me. Oh, we have another comment on here. Let me see. Tamara was saying education is power.
Yes.
And Sharon was also saying, this is when we were talking about the early childhood. She said
Yeah.
it starts early. Studies show that children lose knowledge as young as 3, and starts with nonverbal abuse by reading it to them. I don't know if she meant to put abuse, but nonverbal, but it's reading to them. Is they're learning words when you're learning to them, and music, etc. Yes, which is one of the things too. Children can get we tend to and I don't want to. I hate to use the word that we don't have the faith in the children, but we tend to say, oh, they're too young to learn that. They're too young to learn this. But really, from the time they come out the womb, they're like, boom,
Oh
they
yeah,
are
yeah,
learning.
oh yeah,
And the thing is, people don't realize it, but you put that kid, you give the average kid a phone, even if they're a year old, they can't read or anything. Give them a phone, and I guarantee you, they can find the cartoon that you've been playing for them or whatever. They'll find it because they watch you and they learn your steps. They learn what you do. They learn the songs you
absolutely.
play.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, in terms of like the earlier years, two things. One, if you start to allow students to manipulate patterns, numbers, things like blocks, if you start to do a lot of counting out loud, that can also always build the number sense, right? And I want to go back to where you say that sometimes people may limit, because it's not everybody, but some people may put some limitations. That has to deal a lot with control and a lot with having, in a way, a fixed mindset in sort of a sort, right? So what you want to always do is, strive high. Like I said, studies have shown that every student is capable of learning. Anyone is capable of learning. I myself, I've been co-parenting with my younger sister right now, and my nephew has cochlear implants. Which he lost his hearing. And I'm learning sign at 30 years old. And I have sign language all up around the house. And he's 3 years old. And he's picking things up like, and I'm over here, struggling with my hands. But I say to say that children are resilient, and there is nothing that they don't have that mechanism that adults have where things are hard, they give up. They don't have that
Right.
yet. They just want to keep trying and keep doing it and keep going over it. And that's the learning part of it. So absolutely, absolutely. You
And
definitely
one of
want
the
to
things
keep talking.
And one of the things I would encourage parents as well is when your child is young, try to teach them a second language. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, try to teach them a second language. I know I hear parents all the time say, "Oh, well, they live in America. They don't need to learn another language." Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do because I mean, when you're ready to go for a job and they ask you what second language you speak and you don't have one, that kind of disqualifies you from a lot of jobs. So yeah, when your kid is young, try to get them to learn a second language. I don't care if it's Mandarin Chinese, if it's German, if it's Spanish, if it's French, whatever it is. Especially if it's your family's language, make sure they
yeah,
know that language. So if your
yeah.
family is from Haiti, if your family is from Puerto Rico, if your family is from, Cuba, whatever, but your child was born here, there's no excuse for your child not to know the native language. Those are just,
Absolutely.
my tips.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, linguistics is that part of the brain, when it lights up, it really attends to a lot of critical thinking,
Yeah.
and a lot of complex thought, because as you're listening, your brain is deciding, obviously you're deciding which language you want to go ahead and do, and speak, and so those skills, those complex brain skills, those skills that are allowing, when you are bilingual, that dual linguistics, that's important as in skills like algebra, where you have to go back and forth between functions, and when you have to go back and forth between different notations. I mean, that's how important being bilingual is. It's not, definitely getting a job, being well-rounded is definitely important, but it does attribute to a lot of the complex higher order skills that Bloom's speaks about as well.
All right, awesome. So go ahead and give us a 1 minute wrap up. What would you like to? What's the last nugget that you would like to leave with our viewers?
I am, like I said before, Steve, I'm extremely humbled. I just would like to just send out some encouragement to our community and all of the families that are going through a lot of the suffering right now. My company stands with the community, and I just want to encourage the parents and the teachers during distant learning, because the pandemic was not only hard on parents and students, but it was also hard on teachers. So just encouraging, you guys, to let you're doing the best job in the world, and you guys are phenomenal. And don't forget, you guys can always look me up. My name is Ryen. It's spelled Ryen Jackson. You can go to my website, which is RJConsultingMath.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram. And please send me an email. I would love to have the conversation. Education is my passion, and I'm always looking and willing to help anyone that does need it.
All right, there we go. Sounds good. So this is the website right here, correct?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So guys, there you are. You have no excuse for math not being fun. Okay, I mean seriously, it can't get easier than this. The website is right there. Go ahead and look her up, give her a call, see what's going on. If there's an issue that's going on in your kid's school and you find that that math is an issue going on, however, call her, see what kind of solution she can have for the school or for the school board. Maybe after school programs. Check and see. You don't know until you ask. And then for you to sit there and let your child suffer in math when there's an opportunity in front of you, that doesn't make sense. The website is right here, RJConsultingMath.com. Look her up, give her a call. Her name is Ryen. Well, we know the Miss Jackson if you're nasty part.
Don't be nasty.
Yeah, no, right. Don't call her Miss Jackson. All right. I thank you very much, Ryan, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. As
My
always,
pleasure.
the information was good, and I believe that our viewers learned a lot. I know I learned a lot from you today.
Good.
All
I'm
right,
glad.
and
All right. Awesome.
we'll talk a little bit later about some of the other things like AMI Kids and some of the other boards, some of the other committees I sit on. All right.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you later. All right, guys. Again, it's another great episode of Lunchtime Talk with Steve. We're coming up on the 1 o'clock hour, so lunchtime is over. All right. So make sure you take care of yourself, take care of each other. Go out there and help someone. All right. Again, if you guys know people that don't have access to transportation to get to the food bank, help them out. Give them a ride. Go pick up the food and bring it back to them. Whatever. Come on, we're getting into hurricane season. It's time to be stocking up. But don't wait until they say there's a hurricane and then run out there and go buy things or stand in that long line at Walmart or Home Depot. Start buying it now. We already see the shelves are empty from the pandemic. Don't wait until there's a hurricane and a pandemic and then say you can't find batteries or toilet paper, water, whatever. Start buying now, just a little bit every time. Every time you go to the store, buy maybe 2 or 3 canned goods. Maybe buy a case of water, buy some battery, whatever. Just a little bit every time and put it aside. And when a hurricane is coming in your way, boom, you're set. You're just sitting there watching the people on TV that didn't prepare. What is the old expression? How does it go? Stay prepared, stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. That's what I'm talking about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for another great episode of Lunchtime Talk with Steve. Again, we definitely need to work together. You are your brother's keeper. All right, go out there and do something awesome. Thanks.
Hey guys, I'm on my way to the office. I can't believe there's so much traffic out there. Just remember, if you get involved in a car accident during this quarantine, give me a call. Our attorneys are going to fight for you. They're going to assess the case, find solutions to your problems. Now you know. Call me. My phone number is right up there or down there. Now you know.
I forgot to give my signature thing. Peace.